Paul Kapunda, président Benjamin Mouteba, Jean-Sébastien Massiala, Jacques Banza Mujinga, Zoka Kabengele.
the heat. You must let my people go, so we can rule from Cape to Cairo. You must free my people's hands, so we can rule our purpose land. I wanna know who owns the land. Who wanna know who owns the land? Okay, now listen carefully. Chinese are ruling the Chinese land. Japan is ruled by Japanese. England is governed by Englishmen. America is governed by Americans. So, Africa must be ruled by Africans. I wanna know who owns the land. We must rule from Cape to Cairo. We must rule our purpose land. I say, we want to know who owns the land. I want to know who owns the land. Aslan, hey, Papa Aslan, Papa Aslan, Papa Aslan. It must be free. Angola wants to know who owns the land. Mozambique want to know who owns the land. Namibia wants to know who owns the land. I say, Soweto wants to know who owns the land. Zimbabwe wants to know who owns the land. African freedom fighters want to know who owns the land. Papa Slam. Now listen to the history. We've been here since creation. We've been here since creation. What else do I know? Since the time of sun and sand. Since the time of moon and stars. Since the time of air and sea.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Ambazonians, good evening. Welcome to this very, very special broadcast. And of course, we are still asking the question, we want to know who owns Ambazonia. Good evening, Ground Zero. Good evening, fellow Ambazonians, all of you, in Asia, in Europe, in continental USA, in Canada, in South America. Once more, I welcome all of you to this very special broadcast with the chairman of the Social Democratic Front, John Fru Indi. The chairman is with me on the set to bring you answers to some of the questions that have been asked about the revolution, the struggle, the Southern Cameroon struggle that is ongoing in Ambazonia. Mr. Chairman, it's a privilege to have you for the very first time on ABC's Good Evening.
Well, thanks. It's my pleasure to come on this mission. My first action. So you called that you wanted to interview Kevin. You never interviewed me, and you didn't have the courtesy, please, to phone apologize. You later have a second appointment, which I still accepted, but it never went through. I'm happy that we have this wonderful opportunity for me to come on your radio station to talk to the people, to also give my own side of the opinion.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I get back to you, I would take a few minutes to make some announcements and a few updates to Ground Zero and the diaspora before I come back to you for this interview proper. So just stay put in there, please. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, as usual, go ahead, hit your share button. In the next 3 minutes. At least 700 people on Facebook. We are already almost 600 right now as I speak. So please go ahead and you hit your share button, invite others to join the broadcast. Go ahead and do that, please. Okay, and while you do that, I like to take this very important update about the announcement that I made, the breaking story that I made the other day about this, that we are Anglophones. By tomorrow, when I come up live, I should be able to have more details. But again, the point is, arms, French Cameroon has sent in arms, tons, truck loads, what do they call it? Container load of arms into Gabon. I actually have the pictures of those containers. So that is what is going on. The French want the world to know they have no hand. They don't want to get involved into this crisis. And remember, French Cameroon is out there trying to tell the international community, oh, this is an internal crisis. This is an internal conflict. And yet, they have imported the French army, Chadian army, Central African Republic army. And they keep on saying this is an internal crisis. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not an internal crisis. It is war. And, well, let me end it there. I will come to this possibly tomorrow. But, again, thanks for joining the broadcast. I will now like to go back to the interview proper with the chairman of the Social Democratic Front, the one and only Ni John Fru indeed. And before I do that, I would like to present to you this monologue that I prepared in view of the interview. So please, for those of you watching on the social media, keep on hitting your share button. The Southern Cameroons, ladies and gentlemen, the Southern Cameroons' quest for independence isn't a thing of the present. It has been a fight spanning through decades of various efforts by different individuals and different Southern Cameroons groups to actualize or complete what many Ambazonians consider to be the uncompleted decolonization of the former Trust territory. The SDF has been said by some of those who were there at formation to be one of such organizations created to fight for the sovereignty of the Southern Cameroons. But it is said that because the SDF won the sympathies of French-speaking Cameroonians, and because the chairman, John Frundi, in the euphoria of his newfound fame at the launching of the party, nurtured the desire of becoming Cameroon president, the SDF digressed from the original mission of saving the Southern Cameroons. For doing so, the SDF and the chairman grew increasingly unpopular within its Southern Cameroon's base. And when the current conflict started in October 2016, it was hoped by the people of the Southern Cameroons that, for once, the SDF will embrace their uprising to gain redemption. but the SDF didn't. When Honorable Joseph Weber, a member of the party, took the lead from the floor of Parliament and sparked what became the inspiration that ushered in today's degree of Ambazonian nationalism and activism, the SDF's leadership despised him. It didn't stand behind Weber. Weber was reduced to an outcast in the party. Popular demands from Southern Cameroonians since then and throughout the course of the revolution, demanding that the SDF parliamentarians and senators, including all other Southern Cameroon's members of parliament, withdraw from Yaoundé, as in the fashion of 1953, have gone totally unheeded. As a result of this, Ambazonians activists have essentially banned the SDF from carrying out any form of political activism anywhere in the Southern Cameroon's territory. As a result of shifting away from the will of the people, the SDF, it is not an overstatement, ladies and gentlemen, to say, is an outcast in all of the Southern Cameroon's territory today, perhaps feeling the heat and the anomaly from the people. About a month or so ago, the National Executive Committee of the party, arising from one of its gatherings, issued a warning statement to the regime in Yaoundé to the effect that should the current conflict not be resolved, that its parliamentarians and senators would pull away from both houses and also boycott elections, which have now been announced for February 9, 2020. Last week, the SDF National Executive Committee met again, and we have learned today acted on that previous statement to withdraw from Cameroon Parliament, albeit by staying put and also going in for the elections. Whatever that means, I guess the chairman will throw some light on it. However, for a party that all Southern Cameroonians cling to for a country of their own, it is an insult, to say the least. The overwhelming majority of Southern Cameroonians have continued to question why the chairman and his party have chosen to rather side with French Cameroon, advocating for some vague form of federation in spite of the fact that Ambazonians have said they want out of French Cameroon into their own country. Doesn't the SDF care that a genocide is ongoing in the Southern Cameroons and property decimated in a yearning for a free and independent Southern Cameroons? Popular opinion is that had the SDF leadership come out through these almost 4 years of war to support the quest for independence, perhaps the killings could have been averted and the process shortened. But think about it for a moment. Even if the SDF had suspended participation in Cameroon's parliament and Cameroon's elections, is that enough? Is that what Ambazonians want? Is that what they yearn for? Is that what they want? To hear from a party that was once their darling. What is it that will give the leadership of the SDF a change of direction in favor of a totally free and independent Southern Cameroons? Ladies and gentlemen, these are some of the questions I invited the chairman John Frondi to help answer. So please stay tuned and let's get the chairman to take some of this question. Mr. Chairman, sir, it's a privilege once more to have you here in this broadcast with ABC. The first question, sir, is what went wrong? Your party produced a statement about a month ago warning Yaoundé, you do not resolve the Anglophone, and that's the way they put it, Anglophone Christian conflict. You do not settle the problem, we will walk away from Parliament, from the Senate, and possibly not participate in your elections. Coming out in their next meeting of last weekend, they rather choose to stay put and to participate in that election. And in fact, I have read your statement in which you are asking them to go on and start registration. What went wrong, sir?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chris. I've listened to your lecture telling me what you think the SDF have done and what they were supposed to do. And you've told quite some untrue stories.
Well, you correct me. You correct me if I'm wrong anyway.
Excuse me. You are talking. I listened to you very carefully.
All right.
So, can you also listen, Chris Ano, please?
I'm listening, sir.
Can I talk? Right.
Go ahead, sir. I'm listening.
Now, the SDF was launched as a national party because when we were working on the SDF program, we said if we put it as a purely Anglophone problem, we were going to charge for secession. And that's why we had to go the way we went. And for your information, the SDF is the brainchild of late Mukong, may he rest in peace. And it's late Mukong who went to Douala, Feko, to get Francophones to join us. And that's why they held the meetings with Yondo Black. It is not Frundi. It's not any other person but late Mukong who was the originator. Because he said, we can only tackle the issues of Anglophones in Cameroon through a political party to create a platform on which we can say that this is what the Anglophone wants. And of course, he went ahead and we all came with documents to form the party. And for now, the party was, the documentations are signed by late Asanga and myself. So if you are talking about the formation of the SDF, it's late Asanga, Siga, Dr. Asanga, and myself, who signed. Meanwhile, the Constitution made provision for more people to sign, but the rest of the people chickened out. Now, you've made quite a litany. I didn't know that you were calling me to lecture me on who did what and the wrongs that we've made. You said I should follow Joseph Weber. I sent Weber to Parliament. Weber made the statements he made before amendments. People like Nditumasang and others had made stronger statements, only that they never came out. All along has been fighting in Parliament in the interests of Cameroonians in general and Anglophones or Cameroonians of West Cameroon in particular. You said that. Am I on?
You are on. You are on. Go ahead. I'm hearing you.
Hello, Chris?
I'm hearing you. You are on. I'm hearing you. Go,
right.
go on.
When we back to Parliament, I asked him, congratulated him and said, Weber, you talked well. Others talked, but you made it that your own talking should come out for people to know. And you articulated well. The party will now come in for us to move together. Before I realized I was in a rally and saw participation of the authorization of the party. We kept quiet and allowed him. I said, okay, you go ahead and do what you want to do. I think that in every organization there's discipline. And we congratulated him. I stand corrected and told him that what he did in Parliament. The party now has to come in for us to move. He went ahead to have meetings in So and aligned his program from So is going to Victoria, coming up to Boya, going to Kumba, Mamfe, come to Bamenda, go to Mbengui, this and that. So, Chris Ano, as this is where the problems in the struggle of West Cameroon is coming in. That when one person comes with an idea, is his idea, he wants to take the whole bill, let's sit without sitting down to discuss. And
are you saying that that is exactly what Joseph Wilby did? He didn't want to sit down with you at the party to discuss this idea?
Have you asked him?
No, I'm asking you now because I have the opportunity to interview you.
Well, but you could have also asked him because you worked with him.
But you are the one making the allegation, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, okay.
You are the one saying that he didn't come to sit down with you with the idea.
Sit down and I talk to him in your presence and in his face. Anyway, that is not the quarrel now. And if a member of the party goes out, does a thing, and you, in all your goodwill senses, think that the party should be running following the person, we have to sit down, talk. And that's why when I came out to London here 2 years ago, I made a BBC interview in which I called for the Anglophone leadership in the struggle for us to sit down, talk, and strategize. This call was never yielded. I was in America where I met with you, Chris. And I said, I want to meet the Anglophone, the leadership of West Cameroonians fighting for the liberation of West Cameroonians. You came alone. And there was no discussion. So, the other day I was in Belgium, where I went to see my friend, President Gbagbo. And I called again for the leadership of Anglophones. Please, can we sit down, talk, and strategize? In every war, in every struggle, people have to sit down, talk, and
I'm not stopping you, Mr. Chairman, but I think you are trying to go round and round, and we're not trying to.
I'm not going round and round. I'm just.
We're not being focused.
What you talked. You talked.
The question was your party decided a month or so ago to pull out of Parliament,
with all due respect to you and for all that you've done in this struggle, with all due respect to you, you went round and round and tried to blackmail the SDF, paint Frundi, and all the like.
And I think you came in and you made some clarification there. You came in and you made some clarification there. And we're going to go back to it, Mr. Chairman. We're going to go back to that background that I presented to you. I'm not running away from it. But if we can take it in a little chronological way, that would be great. So if you can go back to the question, why did the SDF say we are pulling away from Parliament a month ago, and today they say, well, we're staying in there and we're waiting for the election? What changed?
The SDF in the National Executive Committee meeting in Douala drew Mr. Bia's attention that if he does not resolve the Anglophone issue, the SDF was not going to take part in any elections and we're going to pull out of Parliament. And the SDF had called for an exclusive dialogue where Anglophones are called down to discuss their problems. And after this meeting, Mr. Bia said he wanted the grand dialogue to discuss the Anglophone issue, which means, in other words, he answered the SDF call. And when he called for this Anglophone meeting, I was abroad there with you in America. You met me in Minneapolis.
Correct.
And I had to run back. I cut my medical checks half to run back for this meeting. And take note, coming out then, I paid my ticket. My children helped me. I ran back on my own. So, I mean, it is because the issue is so deep and touching in my heart that I had to come back. I could have stayed out to say that I'm not well. But I went back to Cameroon. And not so because Mr. Bia was answering the call of the SDF. Mr. Bia, please, if you do not resolve the Anglophone issue, the SDF was not going to continue in parliament or participate in any elections. But first, the SDF was castigated. They said we should not go for that for the talks at all. Frundi, don't go. If Frundi goes, we'll make sure that we kill him. We'll make sure that tell his
Who was saying that, Mr. Chairman? Who was saying that? Who was saying that?
Your people, and it's there on internet, is there on record.
But when our people, as you put it, say, but when our people, as you put it, say, the SDF should not endorse anything that French Cameroon does, especially in this dialogue thing. You went into that dialogue, Mr. Chairman, you spoke, I heard you, and you were booed in there. Don't you think that those who say you should not go were right?
Beautiful. Excuse me. I was booed by Anglophones. I was booed by the ground prepared by Chief Mukete.
How do you know that? How do you know? That room was full with Francophones. I mean, that was in Yaoundé.
Oh, excuse me, sir. You were seeing, but I was on the spot. When I said we needed a two-state federation, the first people to boo me were Anglophones.
No, you said four-state federation. You said you wanted a four-state federation.
Excuse me, Mr. Chris Anu. It is there on record. That I said I wanted a two-state federation. And this two-state federation should be the former East Cameroon and the former West Cameroon. And in this two-state federation, the other regions could still go further to have more federated states within the ambit. But if you listen to Chief Mukete very well, Chief Mukete said he didn't want Northwesterners at all. He hated them to the extent that if he's going to Bamenda, he'll go through Lum on to...
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, we get that point. We get that point. We get that point. We don't have a lot of time, and I want to cover as much ground as possible. So what you are saying is you have changed your mind to stay in Parliament, to go for the elections, because Mr. Bia listened to you and called for a dialogue. The dialogue, you went in there and they failed to listen to you.
They didn't fail to listen to me. At least Mr. Bia in that dialogue said to give special status to Anglophones.
And what do you understand by special status?
Advantage of that and said the special status that we are going to be given to Anglophones.
I'm hearing you.
Tell them.
I'm hearing you. Go on, please.
The special status that we are going to be given to Anglophones should be like that, those of Canada, and that's what the SDF wrote down. Which means, one, Mr. Bia listened to the SDF by sawing the dialogue. Two, he came up with something, even if it's a small. And if he came up with this, which is a small screen, we wanted it to be taken to the end. Let it to the end. But when you come up with another, I want to explain, you are there cutting me, which means that the interview you wanted today, that you want to shut up Frundi, but please.
No. Mr. Chairman, I think I am asking you Mr. Chairman, I think I'm asking you legitimate questions, and you know it's an opportunity we may not have tomorrow. We want to be able to cover as much ground as possible.
Look, listen, Chris.
But let me ask you, Mr. Chairman, in 1991 or 92, you boycotted elections, national elections, because we all remember you said the electoral code was not fair, that you were not going to go in for it. We are in 2020. Your people are being killed and slaughtered, their homes razed, and you see the need to still go in for an election, and you cannot pull out of parliament?
Well, if the SDF alone, Chris Ano, if you are not a member of the CPDM yourself, if the SDF alone pulled out of parliament, what would that mean? There are 35 West Cameroonians in that parliament, or Southern Cameroonians in that parliament, or Anglophone Cameroonians in that parliament. Out of these 35, the SDF has just about 12. If 12 parliamentarians pull out of that parliament, what difference does it make?
But the 12 that are there, what have they done? What have they achieved?
What have they achieved?
Yes.
Well, I'm very surprised to have that question from you, because the SDF has achieved much.
What is it, Mr. Chairman?
Cameroonians can talk, Anglophones can talk, because you are there talking because of the SDF's participation in that parliament, because of the formation of the SDF.
We'll give you the credit. We give you the credit for the feat you put out there in launching the SDF that no one can take away from you. But then.
All right, please.
But then,
when you listen,
no,
when you talk, also listen to me to talk, Chris Ano. Do not think that you can push words into my stomach.
No, I'm not pushing words into your stomach.
The elections, we sat down and analyzed. Since we're just starting, we thought that we could push Mr. Biya to respect the Constitution.
Okay.
And when we sat down, analyzed everything, we said, no, let us still pressurize on Mr. Biya to change the Constitution to make elections in Cameroon free, fair, transparent, to make the playground level. That was the reason under which we boycotted those elections.
Correct.
We never boycotted elections that we sat overnight and just say we're boycotting elections.
But
we sat down in a hotel room in Douala for 2 nights, debated, looked at the constitutional provisions. We did all these things because we thought that the SDF was ushering in genuine democracy for the country, and through which the Anglophone problems will be resolved. But Mr. Biya did not listen to that. He went ahead. From that point, we also
and you boycotted the election because of that.
Pardon?
And you boycotted the election because of that, correct?
Right. And when we boycotted the elections, he went ahead. Now, for me to boycott the elections, for him to go ahead, I have to go in and fight him from within.
Okay.
And that's what we've been doing.
So my question then was,
if you do not recognize the activities of the SDF in parliament, I want to say that it's just because you are a man of bad faith like Mr. Biya himself.
No, Mr. Chairman, I think you know within yourself, I am not a man of bad faith. If I had bad faith, remember we met in Minnesota how long ago? You are the one disclosing it here. You know, we agreed that it was a private secret meeting. Now you disclose it here on television. I never mentioned it to anybody.
Right, okay. I wanted to see the leadership of the Southern Cameroonian fighters abroad, for us to sit down, talk, and strategize.
Mr. Chairman, remember that has not been our problem. When I left Minnesota, I promise you, and I got here, I called your son back, and I said, hey, when is the chairman going back? We want the leadership of the interim government to meet with you. I never got a reply until you left. So nobody is running away from you, but this is the problem.
Before you left Minnesota, Mr. Chris, please, with all due respect to you, I gave you my program. I gave you at the approximate time that I was going to leave. And if you were coming up with a program after the date of my departure,
no, it wasn't after your departure. I called.
To wait for you. No.
All right, wait, let's move on from there. We will talk about that in the background. If you want us to meet you, we'll be more than glad to meet you.
Talk in the background.
All right. All right. But listen, Mr. Chairman, let's go back to the question. You boycotted an election because the code was not fair.
I boycotted elections because we thought that in those early days we could arm twist Mr. Biya to guarantee free, fair, transparent elections.
And for 20-something years, he has never guaranteed any free, fair election. You witnessed in your last election, he brought in fake election monitors, so-called Transparency International. Since you did that, has Biya organized any free and fair election in Cameroon?
We keep condemning. We condemned it. And we drew the attention of the so-called international community that you people keep quoting to the fact that Mr. Biya has never conducted any free, fair, transparent elections in Cameroon. But that we will not boycott again, but because we'll be in to point out to him where he's going wrong and what he's doing, which is not very fair for Cameroonians.
But my question was, if you can condemn a bad election, you can boycott a bad election, your people have been slaughtered in their numbers, it's a genocide. There are those in refugee camps. Mr. Chairman, you have not as much as visited your own people in the refugee camps.
Well, if they sent you that, you should come and tell me that question. The SDF was the only political party that collected food items to take to the refugees in Nigeria. I met with the Nigerian High Commissioner in Cameroon, applied for protection because the people of the zone where the refugees are were fighting. The farmers and the grazers were fighting. It was an open war. And the ambassador told me, the High Commissioner told me that they were going to seek permission from Abuja to enable us have escort with food to the refugee camps. But when you come to tell me that you've never, this is what is wrong in our country, that you do not investigate issues before you talk them out. You now tell me that I have never gone there.
Have you been there?
My party, the parliamentarians...
No, Mr. Chairman, you are the leader of the party. Have you been there?
No.
Is that correct? Is that right? Is that right as a leader of the people?
Have you been there, Mr. Cristiano?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. When our leaders were picked up, I went to Nigeria when they were picked up to look for them.
Okay. And I've never been to Nigeria.
No, have you been to see your refugees?
It's not carrying my hands to go and see refugees that makes the difference. It's on record that the SDF collected food items to take to the refugees in Nigeria. And when the Nigerian High Commissioner did not permit us to go, we gave these food items to the IDPs in the country because we realized that the gari was getting fermented, fufu was getting fermented, beans was getting weevilled, corn was getting weevilled, and all the like. So we had to give the food to the people who had escaped from their own different villages and came to Bamenda. This was done in the open. It was not hidden.
All right, so you have not been there, but the SDF has sent food items in there. How about the internally displaced? Have you visited any?
What are you talking, sir? What have I just explained?
No, we are talking about those in Nigeria, the refugees in Nigeria, and I'm asking now about, are you saying that the food items you gathered were meant for the internally displaced or for the refugees?
Yes, Mr. Director, what was I supposed to do?
No, I'm asking, you said you sent food items. The SDF sent food items for refugees in Nigeria. You wanted to go back. The Nigerian
No. Please listen to me, Chris Anu. That's why I said you came into this interview with a very twisted mind.
Not so, Mr.
With a very twisted mind. I'm pointing my finger at you. I said we had collected food items to go to Nigeria.
Correct.
I went to the Nigerian High Commission to take permission that they should give us protection to take the food to the refugee camps in Nigeria. And The Nigerian High Commissioner told me that the people of the area were fighting, the farmers and the grazers were fighting with very dangerous weapons. And if I go there, my life was not going to be guaranteed. Is there on record with the Nigerian High Commissioner in Yaoundé? So instead of us to let the food get bad, we had to give the food to the internally displaced people in Cameroon.
Okay.
Are you clear? Are you satisfied?
I get it. I get it.
Okay. And it is there on record. It's there on record. So you still ask me, have you contributed? You go to see the people? Have you come to see the people in Cameroon?
Well, you know I cannot come there, Mr. Chairman, but the question is, have you personally, you know I cannot come over there, but again, the question remains, have you as the leader of the people yourself visited these internally displaced persons?
The internally displaced persons, some of them have eaten in my compound.
No, have you visited those who cannot come to your compound?
Oh, was that the program you kept me out here to fulfill? We are there giving instructions. Have you visited the boys on the field, going naked, suffering on the field? Do you know how much some of us have contributed? And if you want to insist, have you visited the people? My parliamentarians from the different areas have visited their people, have given them food, items, have done all that they could. But if you think that it should be me who should go, I will ask Chris Anu, since you started doing this thing, have you visited any of the displaced people or gone to the refugee camp in Nigeria?
Mr. Chairman, I respect all that, the party and your parliamentarians. In fact, I have seen some of the images of their visitation.
Yeah, you've seen some of the images. Then what are the questions? What are this type of questions you are trying to ask me?
No, it's not. It's not what type of question. The point is, as the leader, as the leader of the people, as the leader of the people, this war has been ongoing for 1 year. 1 year, Mr. Chairman. Did you find time to visit at least some, not all, but some of the internally displaced? I understand the reason for you not being able to go to Nigeria, but what about those internally displaced?
Those internally displaced, most of them are in Bamenda town, and we've taken care of them. I told you that it's not just visiting them, but I've invited them severally. They've been to my house to eat. The medicines that we collected to take to Nigeria, we gave all these things to them. So I didn't know that the masters that are telling people to abduct me wanted me to run from one village to the other so that I'd be adopted more.
Well, we'll come to that about the abductions and stuff. We will come to that.
I've talked to them. I've discussed with them. So what else is it you wanted me to do?
All right, I get that. I think we have belabored the point. But let me go back to, you stated that you had to change your mind from pulling out of Yaoundé's parliament and senate and to participate in elections because you were satisfied. You were satisfied with with Bia's national dialogue. You said you were satisfied with
Okay, can you give me a minute, please? Excuse me.
I will do that. Ladies and gentlemen, bear with the chairman. He will be back. He's an aged person, and I trust him. He's a courageous man. He will take any question, no matter what. So let's be a little patient. So please, while the chairman is coming back, please, again, I want to appeal to all of you to get to abcambertv.com and please sign up for ABC Amber Club Operation 2000 by 5. Again, Operation 2000 by 5. Please join the club. Join the club. Let's sustain ABC. ABC. And let me take one more announcement that I made before I started this broadcast, before most of you came on. Before I came on live this evening, I got information that container load of arms have been shipped into Gabon. Having shipped into Gabon, I actually have some of the pictures of those arms shipped into Gabon from France. And these things are for onward transmission into French Cameroon. The arms are coming from France, shipped into Gabon. They will probably move them overnight into French Cameroon. We all know what that means. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is why we keep on appealing to every Ambazonian out there. We need to support this revolution. We have gone so far to allow French Cameroon to take over this to the head of the French. Let us support our local governments, support our counties, support the interim government. The best thing that ever happened to this revolution is the interim
So,
government.
Chris, I'm sorry I took on excused leave.
It's okay.
So,
I understand. I understand. Yeah. So the question I was going to ask you is, so you were satisfied with the outcome of the national dialogue, which is why you have now decided to stay in there, stay in Parliament and in Senate, and also to go in for the elections in February. What you want Ambazonians, Southern Cameroonians to believe is that you came out of that national dialogue satisfied with it, is it?
I was not satisfied. But if I'm quarreling with a person, fighting with a person over something, and the little that enters my hand, I'll put behind and continue. And Mr. Bia had promised that he was going to give the Anglophones a special status. We want to see this status. And if I'm going in for elections, is that at every level, we should have local leadership that will take care. Look at what is happening with the Ambazonian struggle. The boys in the bushes have driven everybody from the councils, 6 council trucks, and they're running them up and down. They are not causing any registration of births, deaths, marriages, etc. So, it is a place of the SDF to guarantee local leadership at the grassroots level. And we are calling on people to come up with that documentation for us to get them into councils, into parliament, so that we continue fighting from there. I will not give in and dash it to Mr. Bia.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Bia is somebody who is an Anglophobist. And if you give him all, he will take. I am not one to give him all. The Senate you are talking now, if we never fought hard the way we did, we couldn't have had even a seat in Senate. Now that we have to keep fighting. If we don't go into these elections, take note that we'll not have people in the councils, we'll not have people in parliament, and we'll not have people in Senate, and in the regional elections that are coming up now, we will not have anybody to govern us.
Mr. Chairman, I get the points. I get the points. I get the points that you are making.
Your leadership said you wanted to stop that Mr. Bia should not carry out any elections in Southern Cameroon.
Mr. Chairman, again, we get that.
But it still came out conducted.
Do you realize that Southern Cameroonians have since left French Cameroon? Don't you realize what's going to take you to discover that?
What will take you to discover that what you are you are making false statements? We are not yet independent. When you said you people organize your boys to abduct me into the camp, as we were talking with the guns around me, we would shoot this and that. I said, let me see.
No. I think you're putting words in my mouth there. You told me exactly who had abducted you. You told me exactly who abducted you.
You are a journalist. You are a journalist.
Mr. Chairman, please. I don't like you to put words in my mouth.
Can you let me talk?
I will let you talk, Mr. Chairman, but you told me exactly who abducted you, and I'm surprised to hear you now say we, including me, organized boys to abduct you.
Of course, people organized it.
Not this interim government. But then, but again, let's go back to the question. What is going to,
when I was abducted?
What is going to make the SDF to realize that the overwhelming majority of Ambazonians, I know you don't like this word, but the overwhelming majority,
I'm glad you know it.
The overwhelming majority of Ambazonians are gone. They left you and they left French Cameroon. And remember, you were not able to have elections. Was it elections? The past elections in Bamenda the last time. What is it going to take for your party and the leadership to realize Ambazonians are dying for their own country, no longer for French Cameroon?
Excuse me, those boys are dying in my hands. They are dying in my hands.
Which boys are those?
You talk as if you have more right over the English, West Cameroonians than Frundi. I am on the spot. The activities that some of us carry out, you don't know, you don't see. But some of you think that we must come out with a platform and show what we've done and tell the world this is what we are doing. Excuse me, sir, that's not how our own politics is. The SDF is out to have a local leadership. And this leadership should be able to help the people. If, for instance, you had organized and instructed your boys at the grassroots well, they could have taken the council to allow the mayors be issuing birth certificates and all the certificates, as I told you, which is not what was being done. They are just happy to seize cars, seize tippers, drive. We are now running our council, running up and down.
Mr. Chairman, you are not answering the question. What is going to take the SDF?
Registered and what they've been doing.
You are not answering the question, sir. What is going to take the SDF to come to terms with the fact that the same people...
You cannot sit there and give me instructions and say, get out of parliament, get out of this. I even asked you, when we get out of parliament, what we'll be doing for now?
But
where do we go to? Okay, sir, excuse me. I'm here now I'm all ears to listen to you. Give me the way forward.
The way forward, Mr. Chairman, is that Ambazonians since October 2017 reclaim their independence, and they have since then, for 3 years and counting now, said they no longer want to have anything to do with French Cameroon. And they are thinking that you, as one who's supposed to be one of their leaders, should understand them the most and come to their side and fight with them and take out your parliamentarians and your senators from Yaoundé. That's what Ambazonians want.
Yeah, when I told you that to take out senators of the SDF, parliamentarians of the SDF from Yaoundé is not a big deal. It's just like a flap of the finger.
So what is holding you there?
What is holding me there is because SDF has just 16 parliamentarians and 16 out of 35. What difference will it make?
If they cannot do anything because there are only 16, why not just give up the damn thing and walk away?
Yes. And then what difference will it make?
Yes.
Because the struggle, you people, at one time, even when I told you that you are all members of the CPDM that want to kill the SDF. Because you are insisting on the SDF, leave parliament, leave parliament. Why don't you also talk to the CPDM parliamentarians and senators to leave the institution.
But you heard me in my monologue. You heard me in my monologue say that we wanted all of you, including CPDM parliamentarians and senators, to leave. Mr. Chairman, don't you think that if you took the courage that you had in 1990, the courage that you had in 1990, you implement that same courage, walk out of that parliament and that senate, don't you think that others would follow you?
I hadn't all the parliamentarians of the Northwest and the Southwest. And when people keep quoting that Anglophones walked out of the Lagos House of Assembly, walked out of the Eastern House of Assembly, took the West Cameroon House of Assembly to Eastern Cameroon House of Assembly, they went as a block. It was not a selected few.
How many were there, Mr. Chairman?
Even if there were 5, they all came out together.
There were only 5 and they came out
I said even if they were.
Yes. Okay, let's assume there were 10 and they came out of the Eastern House in Nigeria. You have more than that, yet you complain. You haven't been able to effect any change, and yet to come out, you do not want to come out.
Because the 15 and a half are out of 35 Anglophones who are in that assembly. The Anglophones moved out in their numbers in the Lagos, from the Lagos House of Assembly to Eastern House of Assembly. They moved out as a block from the Eastern House of Assembly to West Cameroon House of Assembly. And they took themselves as a block to join the La République House of Assembly, as people call it. They went as a block. But when you people keep insisting and calling through the mover and walk out, and you send boys to come abduct me, get me humiliated, and you tell me that, oh, they booed at me. I was booed in Yaoundé by Anglophones because I mentioned two-state federation.
Don't you think those who booed, don't you think those who booed you were saying you ought to have been out of here?
Then what were they doing there?
Well, maybe they were younger than you.
Oh, Chief Mukete is younger than me.
I don't know whether Chief Mukete was the one booing.
But he said he did not want Bamenda people.
All right. Mr. Chairman, let's keep Chief Mukete aside. I hope one day I will have the opportunity.
Anybody who was there noticed that.
All right. Let's keep him aside. I want to believe one day I will have the opportunity to be in an interview with him as I have you here. When I met you in Minnesota, you told me,
right?
You told me, I asked you, do you believe in an independent, the cause for an independent, free Southern Cameroons? And you said yes. And you went ahead to articulate.
Good, and I still repeat it now.
Okay.
Listen, I said yes to me and you. I am saying yes now for the whole world to see and say, Fruya said yes. But the problem is the approach.
So I don't understand the approach. Why not tell us what you, I mean, let me not put it that way, but I remember in Chicago and in Minnesota, you told me what your approach is. But let me ask you, Mr. Chairman, you mentioned the special status, arising from Mr. Bia's Grand National Dialogue. You seem to welcome that idea of special status, but you left the national dialogue without knowing what is in the special status. Mr. Bia is not going to consult you before he comes out with whatever he puts in the special status. Why are you believing in that?
Neither will he consult you too.
But we don't have any faith in it, Mr. Chairman. It is you who is having faith in it.
We came out and made our own proclamations of what we wanted or thought the special status should look like. And that's what we are waiting for him to come out with those things, and we'll start fighting from there.
Well, I think many Ambazonians think that the special status is a no-beginner, because the special status, if you are a believer in a free and independent Southern Cameroon, as you say, the special status keep us still yoked together with
All
French
right.
Cameroon.
Right. You tell me that the children are being slaughtered.
Correct.
If the children are being slaughtered and something comes up, I will take that thing and continue. I will take that and continue.
I don't know what you mean by that. So you will take the special status because people are being slaughtered. But people are being slaughtered and you cannot stay away from Parliament.
Now, if I stay away from Parliament, will it stop the people from being slaughtered? Because in Minnesota and in other places I asked, what will you gain if the SDF moves out of Parliament? Some people tell me the international community will give our independence. I supported my head and felt really sorry. When you talk of the international community, who do you mean? Do you know what is happening in other places where people are fighting here and there and going through almost the same situation like Anglophones in Cameroon? And when you come to tell, for instance, the British government here, please support us, get out. The British government has a program, their own problems with Ireland, with Brexit. They have their problems with Scotland. They have all this.
Are you saying that we should wait until they resolve all their problems and then we can go about asking for independence for Southern Cameroons?
Excuse me, sir. I gave you my strategy in Minneapolis, and I cannot come out here to say it.
And I will not say it. I respect.
But if you want to go to war, you have to fight your war the way you're fighting. Now, you, as you've been pushing me, trying to push me to the wall, you people in the leadership, have you ever come together to say that we are the Amazonian forces leadership? Let us come together and strategize and tell the boys, do this or do that.
We have on so many occasions.
And I didn't know.
No, you probably don't know. You don't are not aware of everything.
I see.
Because we are not reporting to you. We've not been reporting to you.
Yeah, you cannot report to me. But that's where the problem is. Because you think that you could start something outside which you can fight, then bring a government from outside, come and install in West Cameroon. That cannot work. You deceive boys that you are going, they should go and tie up the governor of the Southwest and the GEO, take them to the plantations and bury them there. And then you come with your leadership in a plane and land in Tico, and they'll go down to Boya and take over. Look, Mr. Christian, looking at you in the face, is it true that people said that?
Mr. Chairman, I think I should be asking you that question because you know that this interim government is very, very disciplined, and I think not once, not twice, not thrice, I think you would have heard me come over this same television to condemn any form of kidnapping, any form of ransom taking, and you told me who kidnapped you, and I told you it was wrong. And I remember I told you I called your home. You were informed. I called your home like 3 times when you were abducted. This interim government, we do not support any form of abductions. We do not support any form of ransom taking. We will say this any day. We will say it anywhere. But the problem, Mr. Chairman, where there are abductions is because of people like you out there who have refused to stand on the side of your people.
Oh, so you think that you are a more Anglophone than Frundi, and you are on the side of the people now. You are on the side of the people. Let the interim government come out, and we'll fight it on the field together. I launched the SDF. They did everything, sent over 2,000 troops to come shut up me. I stood by it, and I'm still there in the country up to now.
And we have
out here.
And we are out there also fighting until we have made our territory ungovernable. That is to prove to you that we are not just out here making noise, we are actually fighting. Now, let's get back, Mr. Chairman, to the
and
SDF,
those of
because
us back in Cameroon are not fighting.
No, let's get back to this, because you are touting so much success for the SDF. And we know the SDF has been there, I think, for about 27 years now. The SDF has not been able to win election and lead the country. The SDF has not as much as built a single headquarters for the party. The headquarters of the party is still in your house in Tarekun. What are the achievements of the SDF, Mr. Chairman?
Right. Which party has built a headquarters?
Because there is really none. Your party is the one that is known.
Which party in Cameroon has built a headquarters?
The CPDM.
Thank you. The hall in Bamenda is the People's Hall. I contributed for that hall.
Well, because then you were a CPDM, one of the CPDM chairman. Were you not a CPDM leader in those days, in the early days of that Congress hall?
And you are not one of them?
I was one of them then, because it was the only party that when you launch a party, it is 27 years today, you cannot boast of an office.
I have an office.
In your house?
I have an. And if the SDF, the CPDM inherited what the CNU left, and other political parties came, they didn't share with them. You are telling me that the SDF has not built a headquarters. The SDF has not done this. Which party, I ask you, has built a headquarters? You say the CPDM. The CPDM built the headquarters where? The CPDM office in Yaoundé is in the Congress Center. The CPDM office in Bamenda is in the Congress Center, which is a center that all Cameroonians built, not a Congress Center where the CPDM built.
Mr. Chairman, what is the inscription of that?
Chris Anno, can you also listen to me to explain?
Yes, go on, please.
The CPDM started a hall, and that hall, elephant grass is growing in today because they could not continue. And the SDF is not in government.
Must the SDF be in government to at least have an office?
The SDF should have enough support coming from Parliament and Senate and whatever, having a good number to enable us work and get the party headquarters built. But we have structures, we have offices, we are organized. So you cannot come tell me that, oh, you were once in the CPDM. You were in the CPDM too.
That was then. When you launched the SDF, I was behind you.
Then, and you've come up with Ambazonian, Southern Cameroon. I'm not behind.
Ambazonia is not a party, Mr. Chairman. We are fighting for our country.
Is what?
Unfortunately, you are not single. But Mr. Chairman, let's leave these shenanigans aside and talk about substantial issues. Again, I would like to go back to the question, Mr. Chairman. Look at your people, eyeball to eyeball. Tell Southern Cameroonians what it is going to take you to stand with them, to support them for their quest for independence.
You are trying to let people think that it's you who is more Southern Cameroonian than Frundi.
That is not the
But
case.
Frundi, if
you have to show, you exit, have to show it.
Okay, and I'm not showing it.
So far, not yet.
So whatever thing I do, I should write a letter, dear Chris Anno, I am supporting the Anglophone cause in this way. I'm a Southern Cameroonian in this way. If you people have that moral ethics in you, in coming up with the struggle the way you've done, it's a thing that all the forces have to sit down to discuss. It's not an issue where you sit down, discuss, and tell Frundi, get out of parliament. Has anybody asked your leadership, has any of them ever called me to say, Mr. Chairman, let us sit down, strategize this. If we get out of parliament, this is where we are going to. If we go here, this is what we are doing. In every struggle, in every war, there is a strategy. People sit down to plan.
Mr. Chairman, do you still talk to Honorable Weber?
Where is he? Do I know where he is?
Is he still a member of the SDF?
Ask him.
You are the chairman.
I do not know all my militants. And I can never know them all.
You do not know Honorable Weber?
Does he know me? Does he regard me? Does he respect me? Do I know where he is?
He was a member of your National Executive Councils and they met so many times in the office in your compound.
Right. I'm glad that I had a compound in which they can hold meetings.
What do you mean?
I'm glad that I have a compound in which we can hold meetings.
Okay, so what do you mean by that?
A mark of responsibility.
Absolutely.
And that's why people send people to come burn that compound and burn my compound in the village.
No, okay, talking about that, Mr. Chairman, let me remind you of something that Albert Mukong once said to me. I visited him, you know, his house. I don't know whether it's still there, but he has his house. He had his house behind your building at the Commercial Avenue. I visited him. Then he came out. We were walking towards Commercial Avenue. I don't know what was going on, but he looked at your building. Albert Mokong looked at your building, and he said, one day, Southern Cameroonians will bring down this building because of what Frundi did with the SDF, digressing the SDF from championing the Southern Cameroon cause to a political party. He was very, very bitter. Of course, your building on Commercial Avenue is still standing up there, but Albert Mokong is not alone. You know that. Many of the people with whom you started this said the same thing, and they deserted you.
That is where the problem is now. That you people, instead of facing the truth, you are targeting people and destroying their properties.
I'm just quoting Albert Mokong, Mr. Chairman.
Right. How will I know that? Albert Mokong was staying in rented premises. For all his life, he never built. And that's why you people send children out to burn and destroy what they can. And as I was telling you, they will raise my house in the village down to ashes. Came, set fire on the one in town.
Let me go back to your abduction.
I told people that if you think that somebody embezzled monies to build a house, seize that house and use it for your government. You don't burn it. It's very easy to burn, but difficult to build. Why, if you and Albert Mokong were not of bad faith, what brought my building down? That people started forecasting how they'll bring it down. Was that fair for you? And I'm glad you said it to the hearing of all Anglophones and all Cameroonians. That people have been planning for a long time.
Mr. Chairman, you are putting words in my mouth, please. You are putting words in my mouth, please.
Oh, those who try to put in my mouth are not enough. Go on, Chris. I'm still all ears for you.
All right.
What I'm saying is that
all right,
I've called on people. You don't destroy properties. You don't kill. I told Mr. Bia when he met with me in Bamenda that Mr. Bia, please, if I wanted war, I was a millimeter away from declaring war in '92. But because of the bitterness that they had towards Bamenda, I couldn't declare that war.
All right, Mr. Chairman, time is so much against us right now. Time is against us right now.
No.
But time is against us right now. What I want to do is open the phone lines, take a few questions from Ambazonians who are listening and watching at us here. And I have the first caller on the line.
Now,
hello.
Excuse me, before you take, excuse me, Chris, and before you take this thing, I asked you, what is the way forward?
All right, I'm coming, Mr. Chairman. I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that. Let me take this caller, and then I will get back to that. I already have the caller online. Hello.
Yeah, hello, Mr. Chris. Good evening, Secretary.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Where are you calling from?
I am calling from the Netherlands, and I am Maître Nikonf. So, thank you very much for hosting once again not once again, or for the first time somehow, Chairman John Frundi.
Thank you. What's your question, please?
Yeah, I have a question for Ni. Good evening, Ni.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, my question is like this, Ni. How long would it take you to realize that your romance or your linkage with the Yaoundé authority is killing our people? We Southern Cameroonians see that you have blood in your hand because your continuous romance or staying with La Republique of Cameroon is killing our people, and that's how we see that you are an enabler to an extent. For 3 years now running, Southern Cameroon has been ungovernable, and then the SDF or the CPDM, they are in total panic because there will be no elections. How long will it take you to realize that we, the people of Southern Cameroon, have vomited La Republique of Cameroon out of our land? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Thank you for the question. I will allow the chairman to answer it. Chairman, you have the floor, please.
I have the floor. Thank you. The SDF, we are a political party, national political party. We have an ideology. We have a program. We have our own way to move forward. But if you opted for war, I want to find out from you, Chris Anu, when you people went into full-fledged war and made yourselves leaders, did anybody have the audacity to ask the SDF that, look, where are we going with this? Or you are out now fighting on the monies that you've collected, this person is fighting with this, and you have so many factions of the so-called
Mr. Chairman, you are dodging from the question that the caller asked you. You live in Bamenda. You live in the Southern Cameroons. And the caller is asking you, how long will it take you to realize that your people are not behind you, standing side by side with the CPDM? You are not answering the question.
Oh, so is you answering the question?
I'm asking, the caller asked this question that I'm asking you.
Yes, I've answered the question. The SDF we have our own program. We didn't want to use the path of war. And using the path of war, you see how many people have been killed, how many people have been slaughtered.
The problem is that you are using the path, you are not using the path of war, but you are not fighting the battle either.
Excuse me, sir. Don't think that Chris Anu sitting out in America, you fought the war more than some of us on the floor.
All right, Mr. Chairman, you don't want to answer the question. Let me take the next caller, please. Hello.
I don't want to answer the question. I've answered.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, hello, Secretary Chris.
Yes, sir. Where are you calling from? Hello.
Yes, Secretary Chris. This is Pornelong calling.
From Germany?
Yes, from Germany, Secretary Chris.
All right. What's your question, please, to the chairman?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for honoring the invitation of Secretary Chris. I'll go straight to my question. Yes, in 1953, we had just 13 parliamentarians who walked out of the Nugu House of Assembly for the interests of the people of the former British Southern Cameroons then. Now you have I think 16 parliamentarians. They have been in parliament for the past 3 years, since 2016. All your attempts to table the issue of your own people, I want you to understand, Mr. Chairman, that the SDF is a breed of the Anglophone, the breed of the Anglophone, which means it stands with the people of the former British Southern Cameroons, now Ambazonia. Now, you have done all your best. Your parliamentarians are not even living in the land in Ambazonia. They are now living in Yaoundé. You have all attempts they have made to table this issue. They are to represent the people who elected them into this office. And the National Assembly is not even giving them the ear to talk about this issue for 3 years.
So what is the question, please? What is the question?
Said, yes, Cardinal Toomey in his statement said 69% of these people want independence. Don't you see your withdrawal will cause an international outcry, will have an international implication, and will give SDF the trademark for standing for the people of the former British Southern Cameroon, sir? That is my question. Thank you.
Thanks for calling.
The question, I've answered this question over and over. The few parliamentarians the SDF has in parliament, when they walk out, it means nothing. The Cameroon Constitution stipulates that.
Mr. Chairman, if it means nothing, why can't they just walk out?
All right, Chris Ano, since you know it better, come and walk them out. Why is it that you in particular, and you think that it's only the SDF walk out? If the SDF walks out, it means absolutely nothing. Why don't you people insist on the CPDM parliamentarians to walk out?
Well, that is what we are saying, Mr. Chairman. You heard me from the beginning. I stated that we want all of your parliamentarians, including the CPDM, to walk out. But you keep on resisting. What are they doing there? What are they achieving? Your brother, your friend, Cardinal Toomey says, Ambazonians, the overwhelming majority want their independence. But you keep on, you just do not see it.
Right. So, what independence have you won? Do we have a currency? Do we have a government?
Rome was not built on one day, Mr. Chairman. We have a government right now. We have a government, and the work of the government, you can see it on ground zero.
Pardon?
We have a government. We have a government, and you can feel the impact of the government on ground zero. You know it. Can you really leave your comfort zone there? Walk into any, let's say the United Nations, let's say the EU, let's say the AU, and say honestly that you represent the aspirations of Southern Cameroonians.
I, for now, represent the aspirations of Cameroonians.
Which Cameroonians? You don't even have senators in all of your own region. Not even all of Bamenda.
So, since you have the senators, do something. We are not saying that the liberation of Anglophones hangs on the neck of just the SDF. The SDF, we've done that which we could. We fought for you to talk. And in you talking, we think that is the SDF that should go. I said we should, as Anglophones, sit down, strategize, either fight the war or come out. You said the SDF is the SDF that must come out. Why is it that it's only the SDF that must come out? Why, Chris Andrew?
All right, Mr. Chairman, we'll have the next caller here. Let's take the call. Hello, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chris. And I'm calling from the Netherlands.
Okay, what's your question, sir?
Yeah, thank you. I do have a question for the chairman, please.
Go ahead.
My question is this. Now, I appreciate all what the chairman has done till today. He has been a great inspiration for all of us, despite all what we are facing at the moment. And my question to the chairman is, has he ever thought of asking also the French Cameroon to become an English speaking Cameroon? Has he ever thought of also changing, tabling a bill for French, for Cameroon to become an English speaking as a whole?
And what do you mean by that?
Now, what I mean is, maybe if he ever thought of it, because it happened in Rwanda. Rwanda was a French-speaking country.
But the government of Rwanda did that. Chairman Frundi is not the president of Cameroon. And has never been.
If Chairman, no politicians in Cameroon has ever attempted to bring that idea forward to say, let the whole Cameroon become an English-speaking country. Let them, maybe they will free us and we will be free. Because if the chairman had, brought in that kind of idea, maybe the Francophones will also think differently. That maybe they will need to change their attitude, or maybe they could also think twice on how they are treating us.
All right, let me allow him to take the question, please. Thanks for calling. Mr. Chairman, I'm sure you heard that caller there.
No, I'm not seeing you. I want to be seeing you because once in a while you block my face and I don't see you.
No, you can see me now.
Do you know that I am one of those who championed the boycott of French goods in Cameroon? And the French goods were not only boycotted in Cameroon, they were boycotted worldwide. And this was championed by Frundi. So, when you talk of Frundi not facing the French to make Cameroon and the whole of Cameroon an English state, we don't want French. I don't want French. And those of you who are talking this even, you are the people learning who've spoken French and you are speaking French. I do not understand a single word of France.
All right.
Whether it's French or French.
All right.
But excuse me, sir.
All right.
You are boys who are on the road checking. When vehicles come, they are telling the passengers in French to introduce themselves.
I don't know who you are referring to, Mr. Chairman. I really don't know whom you are referring to. Let's take the next caller, please.
The boys
Hello.
who are fighting on the road, sir.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Where are you calling from, please?
I'm calling from Stockholm, Sweden.
All right, and what's your question to the chairman?
Yeah, my question
Calling from where?
is about pulling out of.
He's calling from Stockholm, Sweden, Mr. Chairman. Yes, go ahead.
Stockholm, yes, Sweden, yes.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I have a question for you, and my question goes thus. When you started politics, you had just a bookshop, and as you went on in politics, you accumulated a lot of wealth. Don't you think it's honest and it will be of full integrity if you clearly tell us that that's the reason why you can't pull out? Because if our children are dying out there, I think if you are someone with integrity, as you portrayed yourself when you started politics, you will pull out just to show us that you are still that person with your full integrity. But for all this while, we have been saying one thing: pull out. It doesn't matter. Even if there's one parliamentarian, even if it's one senator, pull out to make us know that we are all together. We are fighting to achieve one goal. But you are not doing that. You keep on saying, why don't we ask this or that or that? No, we are asking you.
Yes, but that's the question. Because I do not see.
We know how it used to be.
Me, sir.
So don't say that 16 parliamentarians or 5 parliamentarians will mean nothing. It will mean something to us because we used to be one, but we are seeing that we are not more like used to be. Thank you. That's my question. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, you can see that the issue of these parliamentarians withdrawing is a big deal to people that used to be your supporters.
SDF parliamentarians is not a problem. The parliamentarians who have been pulled out is not a problem. We can pull them out tomorrow.
So what is holding them? What is holding them?
What difference will it make?
Mr. Chairman, do it and let it not make a difference. Let's see.
You asked before about the United Nations, this and that. Please, I've been to the United Nations several times. I've been to the to Champs-Élysées in France several times. I've been to Bundestag several times. I've been to Commonwealth several times. And one of the things I put down, before you started running there, I had been there. And when you got to some of the places, they asked, are you with Frundi? Because I had put down the Anglophone problem very well before then. And when I was held under house arrest, Da Jonas, the Assistant Secretary General of the United Nations, visited me in my compound. And Archbishop Desmond Tutu met me in the compound when I was held under house arrest. And the question I ask you people is, why don't you agree that we meet somewhere and talk? You tell me what I will do.
Mr. Chairman, I can promise you, we will meet somewhere and we'll talk. We will meet somewhere and we will talk.
You came alone.
Mr. Chairman, again, I can assure you, we will meet somewhere. We will meet somewhere and we will talk. But we don't need to meet somewhere and talk before you realize that you need to pull out your senators and parliamentarians from Parliament. Let me get the other call, the next caller, please. Hello.
Excuse me. Can you let me explain this?
Hello.
What I've said is that
Hello.
if we sit
hold, please. Let the chairman finish.
Talk together, and you tell me what we are doing with the other parliamentarians. We are working out. I've opened myself that I'm prepared to talk with you people.
All right. That's a good concession there, Mr. Chairman. That's a good concession there. We will talk about that behind the scenes.
It's not a good. It's not today. I came to America, invited you. Instead of you and your group coming, you came alone.
That is true, Mr. Chairman. That is very true. And I explained to you why I was sent to come alone. But that chapter is not over. We will get back there. Let me get the next caller, please. Hello.
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 Yes, sir. Please, can you hear me?
I can hear you, please. Go ahead.
All right. My name is Willis. I'm calling from Los Angeles, California. And I just want to find out. Yes, I just want to find out from the chairman. He's been chairman for SDF since 1992. Because our problem is that we are
since
fighting somebody
1990.
who's been in power for 37 years. The chairman has been in power as the chairman since 1992. I want to find out what legacy does he plan to leave behind? Because I know he's not going to be there forever. What legacy is he going to leave behind? Number one, when we invite him on on the ABC, he is so rude. He is so insolent. He is not respectful. He doesn't even answer any question at all. So I want to find out what legacy does he plan to leave. And if his problem is that he doesn't want to pull out because he's getting some whatever salary from beer in Yaoundé, we are willing to pay him off to pull out his parliamentarians from Yaoundé. But I want to find out what legacy that Pa John Fundi wants to leave for us at that age when he's unable to answer a single question for a 1 hour interview.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, you have the microphone, sir.
Well, I want to thank the person who's asked the question for insulting me to say I've been very rude, very insolent, because when you ask a question I'm about answering, you are throwing another question. And you think that you can dribble me like that. That is not the question. Please, when I launched a party and time came for me or for us to go into Senate, into council, into parliament, I sent the younger people. I did not go there to start getting money to put in my pocket. And everybody only thinks that Frundi, is getting money from Yaoundé. I am not on any salary underlined from Yaoundé. I am not.
All right. We'll take the last caller, Mr. Chairman.
I've amazed well in the SDF.
Hold, please.
Insect.
All right.
Yes.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. We'll take the last question. We'll take the last question. Hello.
Yeah, greetings to Chairman Frundi.
May I know where you're calling from, please?
Thank you, sir.
I'm calling from Cameroon.
What Cameroon are you referring to? Is it Ambazonia or French Cameroon?
Cameroon.
Okay, go ahead.
Now, Mike, I have a question for Mr. Chairman Frundi. Chairman Frundi, you are a very well respected politician in Cameroon, and I believe that Cameroon owes you a debt of gratitude. You just said you championed boycott of French goods in Cameroon and the world over. But whilst you did that, a French company was renting your premises in Bamenda. I put it to you that at this point you are just a greedy old man. What do you say?
Thanks for the question. I'll allow the chairman to answer the question.
If the old man is greedy, the chairman did not bring the company that came to hire my house from France. If they didn't hire my house, they could have hired any other house in town. And they hired my house because my house was the best they could hire. And you already heard somebody said that Mukong said they will bring it down. I do not believe in the destruction of properties. I believe that if somebody has embezzled monies and built a property, when you take government, you take that property and use it for your government and not to destroy.
Mr. Chairman, I think you are again not answering the caller's question. The caller asks you, you champion the boycott of French goods in Cameroon, but at the same time, you rented your house, your business location in Bamenda to the French. Was that consistency?
It was years after, sir. It was years after. And when the French came, they went round to check on buildings that could host their businesses. When you go to get a building for your business, you are looking for the best building for your business. You are not just picking anything for your business. And if it's up to me, after the boycott was called, and say we want to take this building to do our business, I will not tell them no. If they saw any other building, or unless somebody tell me that the people went to somebody's building and Frundi went and blocked them to come to his building, that is another case.
All right, so, time is up.
Time
is up against us, and I have one last caller because I have to take this call because it's coming from Ground Zero. Most of the people are calling from the diaspora. Hello, sir.
Good evening, Chris. I have a question to Mr. Nijon Fru.
May I know where you're calling from, sir? I know you are calling from Ground Zero. What county?
I want to ask him this question. I'm calling from Ground Zero, precisely in Kwen, Bamenda County.
All right, thank you. And what's your question?
This question to Nijon Fundi.
Go on.
I'm asking the question to Nijon Fundi.
Go on, please.
Of this issue of asking the parliamentarian to come out from the place, because we know very well that it will be difficult for him to get any other parliamentarian to be elected. Now, let me ask him this question. When His Eminent Christian Kanatumi cried out that for 3 months, 400 civilians were killed and 750 houses were burnt, just within the Kumbo diocese. It never included Bamenda, Mamfe, and Kumba. I beg to know whether Nijon Fundi had ever visited Kumbo to find out the 400 civilians that were killed, to see about their compound, and the 750 houses that were burnt. And now if he is supposed to go out for his campaign, what is he going to tell the people in Kumbo that 400 people are killed within 3 months and 750 houses burnt? Reports from His Eminent Christian Cardinal Tumi, and not to talk of the Bishop of Mamfe, of the number of people that were killed there. What is he going to tell the people when he's going out for his campaign in order to get his people? Now, let him be honest to us. Shall he be capable? Shall he be capable to go around to all these places that people have died and he had never gone there to sympathize with the people? Shall he be capable to go there and make his campaign and to get his people elected? That is the question I'm asking from Ground Zero.
Thank you. Thank you. That is a very, very pertinent question. Mr. Chairman, please, that was the last caller. Please answer the question.
I want to thank that caller. If there's anybody who has visited people in Cameroon to beat my record, I want to know that. When my parliamentarian, Banazim Joseph, died, they wanted me to bury him in town. I said, no, he must be buried in Kumbo. On going to Kumbo, it was organized that I should be abducted so that I should not witness his burial. They abducted me. I sat in the camp until they finished burying Banazim. That's when they released me at night. So that is what I'm facing. So if I had to face this, I'm going to see this, because some of the buildings are burnt by the Amazonian fighters, and most of them burnt by Mr. Bia's government. And the horrible thing about it is that these buildings
Mr. Chairman, the caller wasn't talking about buildings. He was asking you, Now that you are participating in French Cameroon elections, your people have been killed and there are those who have been displaced. They are in the bushes. You have not visited any one of them. What are you going to tell them in your campaign?
When the campaigns come on the field, I'll know what to tell them.
All right. Mr. Chairman, it was a great privilege having you to come on board to take these questions, even though most of the questions were not answered, but at least Ambazonians out here and everywhere can now see for themselves that you are not, the SDF is not ready to support this cause for the independence of the Southern Cameroons. All along this interview, you come along
I will
as
say that it's a lie. We are all in the cause.
no, you are not in the cause, Mr. Chairman. If you were in the cause, you would do one thing that would make the people to believe you.
Secondly, for us to sit down and talk. I'm talking, maybe you've put me off the microphone.
No, you are on, Mr. Chairman. You are on the microphone. You are on the microphone. Right. But listen.
What I am saying is that on your radio, you had called me twice to come on this type of interviews. And when I accepted, you put me off, and you never even had the courtesy to apologize, Chris Anno. I tell you this, I repeat it.
No.
Secondly, I have called 1, 2, 3 to the nth time. Can the Ambazonian leadership have a chance to sit down with the SDF, talk and strategize for us to know where we are going to? You cannot sit and
listen, Mr. Chairman, I don't know whom you were talking to. We had one opportunity. We had one opportunity to meet. You wanted to meet with the Ambazonian leadership. That is correct. But the Ambazonian leadership said you have taken positions that do not support the position of the Ambazonian leadership in this struggle, and they choose to send me to you. You remember that? When I came, I got to Minnesota, you said if I'm alone, I should not come, or I should come as a private person.
But I received you.
You received me if I came alone,
and the other
without a camera, leaders, without even a phone.
Yes. And the Ambazonian leaders in America thought that they were already now presidents and they could not talk to Frundi.
No, you didn't hear me. The Ambazonian leaders have felt all along you have taken contrary positions to their position, to the leadership position in this struggle.
There's no war in the world that people don't sit down to strategize.
All right. Let's end it there, Mr. Chairman. I agree. We will sit down. We will sit down. I promise you, we will initiate that meeting, and we will sit down and
Can you tell me now, what is your strategy now?
You want me to give you strategy on television?
Okay, but that's what you asked me.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. When we meet, I promise you, we will have a meeting. When we have a meeting, we will discuss your own strategy. But Ambazonians have all along expected that if you supported them, if you stood for them, you would have pulled out of parliament and call the bluff of French Cameroon. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. It was a great pleasure having you here.
Chris Anu, you've not answered my own question.
What is your own question?
What is your strategy? Which is the way forward?
The way forward will not be spelled out on television, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure speaking to you. I will get back to you.
I accepted this interview is because I have the Anglophone cause at heart.
Well, you can do more than this. This is the easier thing to do, though. This is the easiest thing to do. You can do better than that. Thank you. Thank you. You have... I know it's getting late over there. The chairman joined me from London, ladies and gentlemen. Again, it was a pleasure having him coming over to answer this question.
Can I make one last statement?
All right, Mr. Chairman.
Please, the Anglophones have a problem in Cameroon.
Not Anglophones. You mean Ambazonians, Southern Cameroonians.
Resolved. And the Anglophone problem cannot be resolved the way we are going now. Because even with the leaders out, you are fighting amongst yourselves because of money.
Mr. Chairman, even within the SDF, you know that you guys have fought battles, and that is why you don't have many of your lieutenants still with you. There is no organization without differences. We're going to sort out our differences, and I hope that you can get your defected members of the SDF to get back to you. But that is just what it is with every movement, every organization. Right, and again, I will get back to you and we shall talk more. Unfortunately, I don't have much time left. I would have to call it a day. But once more, Mr. Chairman, I really appreciate you coming on to take these questions. I promise I will get back to you and we will discuss on the possibilities of meeting with the leadership of the interim government and of the revolution. Thanks for coming, sir, and good night.
As President Idi Amin said, that when the Queen comes to Uganda, he will retaliate. When next will come, I will retaliate.
All right. Thank you. Good night, sir.
God bless you.
Good night.
God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was SDF Chairman John Fru Indi. We've taken quite some time here, and I see we have more than 4,000, over 4,000, ladies and gentlemen, watching live. Over 3,600 on Facebook, and close to 800 on YouTube. I want to thank all of you who tune in to watch this interview. But remember, tomorrow, our comrade Abdul Karim, who was arrested and locked up in Yaoundé by the colonial regime in Yaoundé, shall be here on set to tell us what he knows about the Swiss initiative, and of course, why and how he was picked up in Yaoundé. Let's make it a date tomorrow. And again, before I go, I'd like to appeal to you one more time. Please log on to ABC Amber Club. ABC Amber Club. Enroll for Operation 2000x5.
Has your bank turned you down for a business loan? Even if you have low, bad, or no credit, our network of lenders are willing to grant you a business loan. It is guaranteed. Money to start a new business, increase your business capital, or refinance a current business. Funding Capital Grid is your answer. We've got you when your bank rejects you. We will offer you from $10,000 to $100 million in secured and unsecured loans. We will clean your credit within the shortest possible time. We also finance all property types: multifamily, office, retail, owner-occupied, self-storage, hotels, industrial, and medical. We will also finance equipment like tow trucks, office furniture, dump trucks, cargo trucks, and Caterpillars. Contact us now at Office 800-966-1193. Mobile 443-760-5059. Fax 202-521-3950. Email info@fundingcapitalgrid.com. Web www.fundingcapitalgrid.com.
You need a financial instrument that provides a hedge against inflation, 100% guarantees that you will not lose your money, has tax-free growth and distribution, the ability to take an interest-free loan, avoids probate, provides creditor protection, guarantees your family that your income will be replaced should you die, helps you protect yourself financially against chronic, critical, and terminal illness, and of course allows you to take money anytime for any reason at any age without a tax penalty. You need only as little as $50 to invest per month. Contact Irene Fombo. Tell 513-5014-177 or send an email to irenenpmsn@gmail.com.
Start a new career as a Linux system administrator with an average salary of $80,000 to $120,000 a year. Dynamic Tech Academy has transformed many lives for the better through our 6-month Linux program. We are so excited to announce that we are adding DevOps course and Red Hat certification at no charge, which will make students more competitive. Over 80% of our students have no prior IT background, yet vast majority of alumni land jobs in 3 to 6 months after they start applying. Our ultimate goal is to reach 100% student employment, so we work with every student until he or she gets a job. Upon successful completion of the course, we will provide resume building, interview preparation, and job placement assistance. With the Linux course, you get more than 300 hours of in-depth training, and you get to learn from experienced instructors. By the end of the program, our students can be Red Hat certified if they choose. Our alumni work in companies, both government and private companies in the USA, Canada, and even Europe. Want to learn more about the program? You can contact us at info@dynamicdmv.com, or you can call us at 240-604-9505, or you can call us at 240-423-7865. And you can also visit us at www.dynamictechdmv.com. If you are interested in online classes, please register on our website. That's once again www.dynamictechdmv.com.
Melotin bono mbatola mbekengwa Cameroon mbele chendumja nebele so mazule ngwa kangu mbele chendumja ngolona nje bangbe mbitinda kwable ngwa Cameroon abono no gonje kongonje mbegole bona wa megamdanye wule bombema zelombe fona dole nzampo nebem jibanga Sombongwa Cameroon galara babo mashwe bangale mema Melotin banga nombo tola mbekengwa Cameroon mbele chendumja nebele so mazule ngwa kango mbele chendumja anwatina mbina lalenga Cameroon ogonza mbina bangla leo lebne mbina titila nemete ngwa kango molona nze bangba mbitenda kwable ngwa Cameroon abangono ne bonze bangonze mbekole bona wa meganga yebule bombe ma selome fone dole nzampo wonderful. Peace is not there because justice not there. Now wonderful. The first court of justice, your conscience. Now wonderful. True in Peter, cause they know they die. Now wonderful. You get that come out, you turn and come out. Now wonderful. You get that for right, or you come out for love. Now wonderful. You don't have come up now wonderful. You eat up for right or you come up for love now wonderful. You're gonna